All right, so now this time when I hit record, it was connected to a hard drive, which is really helpful for getting things to be able to be recorded. Do you want to push the button this week?
Which button do I press?
Too late.
Sun's coming up and the road's wide open. Lace them up, big dreams unspoken. Laugh till it hurts with miles to go. So run far, build it slow. Chasing down a brighter horizon. You and me in a road unknown. Building horizons. Let's go!
Welcome to Build Horizons, a show about picking the life you want to lead and how to make it happen. I'm Jeff. That's Katy. And before we get started, I do want to say one thing I wanted to do when we did this episode this week was live stream the actual recording. I don't even know if I told you all this, but I went in to go do it and I clicked the button and it told me that first off, it needs to do some final approvals before it would let us. And if we don't have 1,000 subscribers, then it will only show it to it's basically a private stream that I would have to I guess text out to everybody.
Tell our family and friends.
Yeah.
Hey, watch us on the live stream.
Yeah, right. And so I would either need to get all of your phone numbers or you can click subscribe and get us to 1,000 and then we'll be able to live stream after a few weeks after that. So anyways, yeah, do that. Click the thing, like the little button thing that popped up before this all did. Katy, should softball games in 106-degree heat be a federal crime? That's my question for you to start this thing off.
Yeah, it was pretty toasty. Our daughter had a softball game, and I think Jeff and I, by the end of it, looked like we had been swimming in a swimming pool. And I have some bad news.
Oh, okay.
We have another game in about 2 hours,
It
but it's going to be less hot.
okay.
So that's good.
I thought it was going to be actual news to me. I already did know that,
Yeah.
being that we have to record this exactly at an hour.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at the play, the little how far are we in, and there's more than an hour, just that's how late we're going to be for a softball
It's
game
true.
later today.
Yeah.
Unless it's rained out. But yeah, so I just, man, that was miserable. And I have never I tried to will our little umbrella to give us enough shade to not die.
We didn't plan well.
Yeah, so we had Katy
It was just a baby umbrella.
had well, and I don't know why it's also legal to sell umbrellas with the stem that's 18 inches. Not even that. I was about this far. And so trying to hold that while also giving both of us shade, getting the right angle.
And the sun was brutal. There were no clouds. It was brutal. But such is life. It was cute.
We survived.
It was cute watching the girls play softball.
And nearly die.
And yeah, they were also on the struggle bus as well.
Yeah, they were well and properly over it, just like we are with this intro. Okay. So we had some stuff happen this week.
Yeah. So in the App Store and Play Store, so I think we actually have some things in the App Store pending, but then we had approvals in the Play Store.
Yeah, Google did a good job of getting
things quick.
Yeah, thanks.
So we have some
Google
apps available now. And how was that whole experience getting things in the Google Play Store and all of those things? Did I say that right or did I say that wrong?
I don't know that there's a right or wrong way to say
Okay.
anything. So you're good there. I want to say the main thing I'm excited about as we've kind of gone through and built some of these things is having the apps available on all the platforms. The desktop versions of them. So this is if you're not into software stuff, the next 5 minutes you might just want to skip past because it's gonna be super boring. But we'll get to some interesting stuff that's more broadly applicable. But my goal as a person who uses Mac and Windows and Linux and Android and iOS, I want something to be available on all those things. And that's a real rare thing to have.
Right.
But that does mean the road is a bit long to get those things to exist and not suck, and then actually fit the vision of what you had when you started out down that path. And so the thing that then you have to do is go through app approvals, and then there's always some back and forth, and had some back and forth, and but now we've gotten to a point where some of this stuff is out and live in the world. And one of those, it was like really early on in kind of the Bravely journey, but it was our to-do app.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a fun thing. So I'll do this for all you software not interested people. If you haven't skipped already 5 minutes ahead, if so, man, you sure missed it. But I do think the to-do app stuff is an important topic to cover, and actually something that, as I continue to be a do all the things person, a thing that I need to do more diligently. And so maybe this is like a live on air. Jeff works through how he plans to actually do the thing that he would like to do with everyone. But I know for me, when I feel most in control of what my day-to-day is, and honestly, like keeping anxiety lower, is if I am using a system to keep track of all the stuff that I have to do. And so I was, I don't know, a very young Jeff when I first read Getting Things Done. If you are into to-do apps at all, you've probably heard of that book. But that kind of has inspired a whole genre of to-do app. And I just want to say, like, of course, shameless plug. You go to bravely.dev and go check out Todoingly. It's our to-do app, but you can do this with many different to-do apps. Like I used Todoist for the longest time. And there's just certain things that I have always wanted it to do slightly differently, that I am excited to be able to introduce that and how we do things and make it a little bit more flexible in a couple different ways. The thing about getting things done, like the whole methodology though, is you take stuff that comes up, and if it's not something that you can just do in the like immediate right now, and it needs to be deferred till later, is just have an input. So you just plop that stuff in and goes into like an inbox, and you just know that is going to be something that we'll address later. And then if that is something that you are not doing, the thing, to go back to what I said, like the when I feel the most on top of things, or I feel the lower end of the anxiety spectrum, it's because I have that system. When I don't have that system, it is like I'm trying to keep all these things in my head.
Well, and I remember there's been a few times, even with your job and home life, you did feel so overwhelmed because you didn't have a tracking system in place. And this was way before we even considered building an app for it. But when you took the time to build, kind of structure your thoughts, it is a ripple effect to how, not only how productive you can be, but also the anxiety part of it too.
Yeah. I would say in leadership, in my career, that's been one of the things that I've had the most, I don't know. It's been a very fulfilling journey on that, because as a person who kind of went through that and found it, through going through some of those trials, being able to help others through that, I've realized kind of a really common pattern that happens. And if you don't have this system in place, this is like I feel like I've seen this 100 times. Mm-hmm. Basically, what happens is you have a bunch of stuff. Like you have a very smart, capable individual. And smart, capable individuals by nature are like magnets for more and more and more and more stuff to get piled onto them, which at first you solve by just working harder and harder and harder and harder. Eventually, there becomes a point where you become overwhelmed. And in those instances, what I've had the experience of doing is be able to say, like, okay, I know you feel overwhelmed. We're talking through this. I think the thing that would help me understand what all you have on your plate is to write all this stuff down. And this is a very getting things done thing. It's just to go through your head, and I want you to write down all these things that you have to do.
Right.
And when they do that, then we go through and like, okay, So which of all these things that we wrote down do you need to get done today? And then it's like, okay, well, these 3 things have to get done today. I need to get these couple things done tomorrow. And then by the end of the week, at some point, I do need to get, these things done here. And you can see, like, as we're going through this exercise, the realization, the light bulb moment of, oh, I did have 40 things that I need to keep track of, but I actually only need to care about 6 of them this week and 3 of them today. And when you are able to contextualize what I can work on today, what I need to get done today, and if it's only a couple or a few things, then all of a sudden it doesn't really matter that you maybe do have 40 things over the next 6 months that you're going to have to care about. You only have to worry about those handful of things. And it becomes a lot less overwhelming if just in the context of what I can work on right now, here's what I should know about, and be able to put those other things out of your mind. But if you don't have a system, which I am mediocre at right now at best, trying to be a little bit more diligent, and having the app out in the world is definitely a good reminder of that. But if you don't have a good system, then you can't get those other 40 things out of your mind if you're a particular type of individual. Some people have some magic ability to put that on the shelf. I know for me, for stuff that is like hard and complicated and going to have to be figured out, that is like impossible. So for me to be able to put it on a shelf, I need to have trust in some system that I know that I'm going to come back to daily. And that's the whole methodology of the to-do app that we made. Is you put things in the inbox, you know that you're going to go back through and clear that thing out and make sure that it's either assigned to a project or that it has a due date. And then like, okay, I put this date, so I know I'm going to see this on this date, so I don't need to worry about it right now.
Right.
And that alleviates a lot of mental load that you have to go through in your day to day.
Yeah. And one other part of the app that I wanted to touch on is we made a option to be able to add friends or collaborate with others. And even for our marriage, I have found that to be really helpful, because I am a person that I think every wife perhaps is this way, that when you
wow, bold claims here. Katy making a statement for all women across the world.
Yeah. And I'm watering out of I think it's allergies. So I'm having to.
You're just getting emotional.
Yeah. I'm getting really emotional about these to-do apps. Anyways, is one thing that I struggle with is when I have things I want you to be doing that's on the honey-do list, and you have other ideas of how you want to spend your time. This allows us to get on the same page of what my expectations are for you to do in the weekend through the week, and how you're going to get those done, or vice versa of, I have all these things on my to-do app, don't think that's going to happen this week, and me being understanding of that.
Yeah, as you're talking, all I could think of, and I don't know if this specific thing happened, but versions of this happened, especially early on in our marriage. And by early on, I mean also in the last probably week, I would imagine this is a pretty common thing. But like, I just remember, like, we were at our old house and working on, we had a berm that we had to build, and just a whole bunch of heavy bricks.
So heavy.
And then I swear you would like find like, hey, he looks like he's about to do a whole bunch of this all at once, and he's going to be really, really tired. I'm going to do now is the moment. I'm going to like introduce this new idea. Hey, honey, when you're done with that, also, I need you to come fix the chair. It's broke. It's like, I do not need to know about more things to do while I'm literally dying out in the heat fixing the thing.
That was so hard. And it's so funny because in my brain, I'm just thinking, oh, it's a thing that needs to be done.
It's like I am your to-do app that you just get to offload hey, I just need to make sure that someone knows that the chair needs fixed. I just need to get it out of my head so I don't need to worry about it. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. You're
All
welcome.
right. Well, I don't want you to have to feel like you're going to get too emotional, so we can.
Yeah,
move on
thanks.
to the next thing.
My allergies chose a wonderful morning to hit me hard.
So we do have the the Sydney Marathon coming up, which we'll talk about a little bit more as it gets closer. I think we have, I don't know, 7 weeks or something like that.
Oh, so close.
Which means we need to get some long runs in, babe. But if you can make it not be 1,000 degrees outside.
Yeah, we both had really crappy runs this past week of training, and both of us had to really push through getting through them with the heat. It's really hard to have marathons in August and September during these summer months, but we both pushed through them. And do you want to talk a little bit more about that, the mind shift and how?
Yeah, I mean, we can kind of condense the next two things into one block if you like. So
sure.
We also had our Utah Valley Marathon that we ran a few weeks ago, and it was also equally terrible. Altitude and running, apparently, if you're from the flatlands, that could be a bit rough.
And we came in so optimistic to Utah, thinking we were both going to PR and knock it out of the park, and that was not the case.
Yeah,
at all.
We haven't even really talked about this, but I am curious now that it is a few weeks in the rearview mirror. Like when you look back at that experience, or look back at some of the crappier runs in the last few days, with it being 1,000 degrees, what would you say you take away from I mean, it sucks to call finishing a marathon a failure, but like in a lot of ways, it felt very failure, like especially in the moment.
Yeah.
So as you look back at those things, like anything you take away, like that you carry forward from those?
Well, I think for one, it's the memories, the experience of getting. I have an opportunity to push my body to that point, and I know that not everybody gets that chance. So framing it as a blessing that I have a body that can do this really hard thing. And I think another really fun part of Utah was we brought our kids and the grandparents.
Shout out to my parents for watching the kids.
Thank you so much. And letting them see us and see us push through something really hard. And obviously when we saw them at random points in the race, they didn't know we were hurting so bad. But seeing us finish something even when it sucked and persevering through that, I think, and I don't know, just having the kids there was so fun. I loved it. I thought giving them hugs through the race was just such a sweet thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
I don't know if I answered your question the best, but those were.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I got a little distracted when you were talking about kids, and then we heard them upstairs, and like it's like, man, I wonder if episode 2 is going to be the time we have a kid invasion.
Oh, it will happen.
I mean, it's going to
it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. We are going to have a kid invasion.
And we just have to decide at that point: do we edit that out, or do we just embrace it?
I'm pretty
this is real life.
I'm pretty anti-edit on this podcast because we have about 600 trillion other things to do. But depending on the state of the child, that may be the thing that dictates whether or not. That maybe we're legally required to edit these things out. I'd say for myself, the thing that I take away is that not tying the outcome to the validity of the journey,
right?
Because
it's a really good point.
And this is applicable to business. This is applicable to things that you're trying to change about yourself, and this is certainly applicable in a sport like running. Which, when I look back at that, the thing that I am most proud of, even on the races that do go well, I'm proud that I showed up for the day-to-day grind of the thing. And ultimately, if I ever am going to have a good marathon, it is going to be on the heels of showing up every single day and doing what I need to do to make that happen.
The consistency matters so much, and showing up and having that discipline is so important. And it's hard, and it takes time to build that. I don't think it's something that happens quickly. It's definitely a thing that happens with showing up, day by day, once at a time. That's what I'm trying to say.
I'm still laughing because we're just hearing our children.
I'm hearing mom, mom, mom. So it's probably going to be this podcast episode.
So this is why we need the subscribers. So if you haven't already, please subscribe, because if we get a live stream, we can tell our kids to watch the live stream and they can know what's going on.
Right.
Because right now they just have to hear us yelling around.
It's like a stampede upstairs right now.
Yep. But we're gonna power through. I believe in us. It's the day-to-day commitment. Right now, the day-to-day commitment requires trying to turn off the ADHD brain. And
it's not gonna be a perfect
distracted.
scenario.
No, it's not. But like, to go back to it, it really the necessity of enjoying that grind, and like in the moment, it is rough. But like when you look back at a hard week of training, or you look back at a hard week of like really powering through a bunch of, app work, or getting something changed on the website and helping the onboarding flow for people who are new customers or something like that.
Yeah.
Like to enjoy that grind is what turns something from an aspiration to something that is like you can see it at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I think too. I think it was Robin Arzon that said it, but you have survived every one of your hard days.
Yeah,
you've seen the other side of it, and I think that's something too that when I heard that, I was like, that's really insightful and just solid. Like, you've survived every single one of your hard days, and I know some days are way harder than others, but even when you're in a hard run, and we've talked about that, is we will be done. Like it will finish.
Yeah.
One step after another, but it is hard.
Yeah.
And I don't want to like minimize how hard it is in the grind.
Yeah. There's definitely moments of trying to figure out like how do I live with my brain in this body that is going through this right now?
Yeah.
And that realization, like if I can survive for the next 60 seconds or the next 5 minutes, and I can string enough of those together, then I will finish at some point. I will take the final stupid step of this marathon.
Yeah.
Even though right now I feel like I would like nothing more than to sit in one of these lawn chairs that are from the spectators along the route. And
it was so hot too, the run. It was just a little miserable.
A cruel thing about marathons is when you start, usually it's like absolutely pristine, beautiful weather. And then it's just a game of like, as you go in distance, first off, of course, if you run 18 miles, you're going to be quite tired.
Yeah.
At best.
And you're pushing
you're
yourself because you're trying to run quick.
Yeah. And so, but you also have, it's getting hotter and hotter as the day goes on. And it just, becomes more and more unsustainable. And we do this for fun. This is the thing that we like doing.
This is the hobby.
Yeah.
I actually had a question come up in my head, Jeff, with what you said. And I think it's applicable to a lot of what we're going to talk about and things that I think that you have experienced. But can you talk through tools and things that have helped you to, what you said, discipline your mind?
Mm-hmm.
How do people do that? How do you discipline your mind? What are some ways that people can do that?
Yeah, I mean, I talked about it last week about, kind of trying to convince your algorithm. Like if you are a person who is going to scroll on your phone and you're not trying to solve that problem right now, then at least make that be more productive. So like that, if there is a particular thing that you're trying to go down, whether it be running or starting a business or what have you, surrounding yourself with things from that genre or that topic or people that you aspire to be someday. I think that at least makes that be more productive. Probably not the most productive use of your time. I've mentioned buying books and listening to things. I would say one thing that I've found tremendously helpful, and it's kind of like a dying breed of people who do this, but take the time to write stuff out, whether that be type it out or write it on a notebook. But I think taking time to be with your own thoughts helps you realize some of the things that maybe you wouldn't notice about why you are going down a certain path if you hadn't take the time to like try to articulate to yourself. If you don't take the time to articulate to yourself why you're going down a certain path, or why do you have these feelings that you're having, why are you overwhelmed, then you're just going to keep going down it. Like whatever direction that you've been headed down, you're just going to keep doing it. So to break out of that cycle, you have to do something that causes some sort of realization about yourself that like, hey, I'm going down this, but I don't want to do that because I enjoy this thing more. And some of that requires making a statement that may not be entirely true at the time, but you have to be willing to do something. And this is kind of a thing we talked about last week, and we'll probably talk about for the end of time, is sometimes you have to do stuff before it makes sense. And if you want to be a person who wants to write a book someday, you have to start writing a book with like the first time you write a book, you're going to start down that journey without having written a page of a book before. Like the first time you try, that's just like by definition, that's going to be true. And that's a crazy thing to go down and do. But that's the only path forward. And so if that's something that you want to do, you're going to have to become a person who is a writer. You're going to have to call yourself a writer. You're going to have to surround yourself with the people who you want to be. You talk about that algorithm thing. Like there are plenty of writing influencers, for example. If you're going to be a writer, that should be what your algorithm is, because a lot of writers, especially as they're getting started out, are going to have those sort of things as how they fill their mind, and they're going to get ideas and inspiration from those people. But yeah, I don't know. What have you experienced with yourself with that?
I think
did I answer your question?
Yes. I mean, I think a little bit, but I had a couple other parts I'd be interested to like prod you on, but
sure.
we can go. Or do you want me to answer?
Yeah, you do your answer.
I think writing things down, journaling, which I would love to get back into the habit of doing. It would be great. Because I think I am more of a very traditional with a journal and handwriting till my hand starts to hurt type of person. But I think that when you take the time to write it down, it just adds the intention. It gives it more intention for you. Mm-hmm. But like you said, I think when you surround yourself with that identity that you are trying to identify yourself as, it really helps you buy in to what it is that you're trying to do.
Have you ever, what's your experience been on like imposter syndrome when you show up to do a thing for the first time that you want to be the sort of person who does X, and so you have to be doing it for the first time. How big does imposter syndrome play for you personally?
For me, oh my goodness, bad. I don't even feel equipped to hardly talk about this because this is genuinely somewhere I struggle. I don't
understand how that. I wouldn't have guessed that was as big of a thing, because like you show up to like you have like book groups that you've shown up to that are like a bunch of people that you've never met before, and you just find those things and go do them, which that sounds like crazy person activity. I would never in 1,000 years do something
I
like
think
that.
it's, and maybe defining it a little bit more granular, is I feel imposter syndrome when it's something I'm leading. If I'm in charge, I always feel like I'm not going to be doing it well enough, nor have the experience to even consider leading something. And I struggle with that a lot.
Well, I mean, that's fair. But like when you, so do you not feel imposter syndrome when you show up at a a book club, or you show up to some cycle class for the first time and you've never been there before? And
a little bit, but I am more excited for the fun of it and meeting new people. I think I don't feel imposter syndrome because I don't know, it's enjoyable to me. But if it's something I am leading or trying to, well, even for example, Jeff, the company, and trying to fill in on roles because there's so much to do and
a lot of hats.
Yeah. And I don't know how to do it. But so I do feel a little bit of imposter syndrome. Like, I'm not going to know what I'm doing on this social media thing. I don't know what to post. But like you said, it's just you dive in and you try it. And if it doesn't work, it's fine. You pivot and you try again. And eventually you do that enough times and you get good at it. You get better at it. And honestly, it kind of even comes back to what we talked about last week with failure and how that makes me feel and you feel. And I'm definitely still growing here. This isn't something where I feel super equipped to have much good advice for people.
Well, I think you're good at this, especially on the just willingness to dive into a thing. Like let's say I told you, or I don't know, we were watching something and then there was like an ad and then we got convinced that we need to become pickleball people. We're not pickleball people. How much pickleballing would you need to do before you would show up to couples pickleball night and feel comfortable-ish? I mean, comfortable enough to do it, to do that. Like from 0 to 1,000 hours of pickleball.
Well,
how much pickleball would you need to play before you would show up to couples night?
I would be fine first night. It's because something like that, just hear me out. Something like that doesn't add that imposter syndrome feeling. It's more of like if I were to lead a book club, for example, people come to our house, people lean on me for questions on what we've read. One thing I've actually had to really work through with my own career is I do project management. And when I first got hired on, I was so nervous to lead projects.
Oh, yeah. I've seen this in you.
Yeah. And I wasn't confident that I would know, first of all, the questions to ask, how to lay out the timeline. And I literally told my boss that I didn't know if I was going to be able to fill that role. But it was situations like that, which now I am leading projects. We're good.
Of course.
Yeah. I don't feel imposter syndrome anymore.
It's so funny because like the thing I would say to you is, of course you can do those things. Like that's no big deal. But I would answer the pickleball couples night question as I don't know what the number is, but I can tell you I would need to go more than 10 times alone, just you and I pickleball practice before I would feel even remotely like, okay, fine. I can show up to all these other people with their paddles and be one of them. And maybe they won't notice that I've only done it 10 times. But yeah,
it's so interesting because it's different. I think there's different levels of imposter syndrome, or there's different.
Yeah, because if you ask me, hey, do you want to go talk on stage and give some, hour-long presentation?
Oh,
I would be like, yeah, sure, why not?
I'm so not okay with that.
Yeah, so
it's interesting.
We're
kind of like figuring this out right now, but
yeah, I think at the how I would summarize that though is, you're gonna have things that are uncomfortable and hard. and that you feel weird doing, and to get good at it, whether that be, pickleball practice with your best friends, or your willingness to be a project manager and take the lead on things, or to start running, or to
Write a book.
is, all those things. If you have big dreams and you have big aspirations, there's going to be times where steps along that path are going to require you to do something that feels real weird. And you have to become willing to dive into that weird, and also be someone who, once you do it enough, or you do it a handful of times, or even go through it once, where you're like really mindful about what you're doing, is realizing that feeling in yourself of like, I feel uncomfortable doing this. This feels crazy. Why are we doing this? And knowing that on the other side of that is realization that you were capable of figuring this out, or maybe you go into that and you learn something to not do next time, or that you need to change on how you want to do that next time you go to couples pickleball practice, and but that it's still okay. Like, even if you fail, that it's going to be even easier next time to show up, because going from 0 to 1 is hard, and going from 1 to 2 is not nearly as hard.
Right. Yeah. So one question that I had thought of after our episode last week is, and honestly, I think it's relevant to what we're kind of talking about right now, and maybe then after this we can segue into something else. But with change, and Jeff, I think in your experience, you have experienced the most dramatic changes in a life over the past 3-ish years.
It's been a pretty wild, yeah.
So
36 months.
How did you do? And I think maybe sobriety might be a good one to talk on with this, but obviously I think you can apply it to other things too. But how did you move from day to day to week to month to month? How did you keep taking those steps forward? And I know, and I think the thing that's so raw to me was the sobriety journey, and I'm happy to talk more about that and the emotional side of that for me as your spouse, and what that felt like for me. But we don't have to get into that today. But how did you do that? Because I do remember with you not drinking anymore. And honestly, when you made that decision, I made that decision too, because that was just something that I decided, if my husband has this struggle, there is no reason why I need to be bringing it even in our home. And that was just my own personal decision. So we really kind of did it at the same time. So, but what, and I'm getting off track a little bit, but how did you move? How did it feel easier? How did it move into, okay, this is the day I'm doing this? Like you said, hard stop today. This is the day.
Yeah.
To moving to the next day, to moving to the next day, to that being the next week. Can you talk about that journey a little bit?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for starters, like, it was something that I tried to do, for years, of day ones. And the thing that started the shift, really, like to even get any amount of traction the first couple times, was the times where I decided, like, okay, this is done. Like, it's not like a thing that I want to do someday. I'm willing to commit to this now. And even that didn't stick at first. Took a handful of tries. So the initial part of that it's a heck of a journey, and you just have to not give up and keep finding your way through that.
How did you work through the addiction part of it? How did you work through that? Because obviously you wanted to take a drink. You wanted to not wake up and run. Can you talk through that a little bit?
Well, the only thing that worked was that I didn't want to drink, honestly. Like,
yeah. That's
so
good.
Certainly there's like the physiological parts of that, but
Right.
It's never, in my experience, and I'm sure that this is different for others, it is more of the relief of a psychological discomfort that is the prompting, and that can be overweighed by what you really want to do. And so it honestly, it ties together to like, how do you make day 2 turn into day 2, or day 3 to day 4 to week 7 to week 52. And I would say it's very similar. It just becomes a heck of a lot easier once you get a little time on you. Just like in the same way, like if I asked you, how is it that you continue to run every day? I would assume it is because that's what you do, or like, why do you work out on a given week? It's just because it's what you do.
Yeah, it's just my lifestyle at this point.
Yeah. And it's a little bit fake it till you make it kind of thing, where you do have to just decide that that's the identity that you want to adopt. But the fact of it is if you do surround yourself with that information, you do surround yourself with those influences on your mind that, hey, this is not a thing. Like I want to be the sort of person who lives this sort of life. Then it follows, like your behavior will follow that. Like if you can change your beliefs on the thing, then it's just a matter of living your life and go through that, knowing that you have silly monkey brain up here that will revert to what is most comfortable. And it may need occasional reminders that, hey, I'm going to listen to this podcast episode, even though I don't feel like I have any sort of, temptation to do anything differently. I'm just going to go ahead and listen to it because I know that it's a good influence on my life to have someone talk about, their own journey through something. And it worst case scenario, it's an hour of time or however long. And best case scenario, that keeps you on the path that you want to go down.
I think another really good tool to use on this is surrounding yourself with it, in the sense of like, put sticky notes on your bathroom mirror, put notes on your whiteboard. And I know at one point when you were losing weight, you had it displayed on a computer as a number. So surrounding yourself with really, easy ways to see it, even in the day-to-day, not even just like on your phone, but like get like I said, a sticky note, or make it around you in every real way that you can, I think.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
And with addiction things, it's especially true because marketing exists. You are, if you're not being intentional about having the influence to, hey, this is the sort of lifestyle I want to live, and that's not going to include alcohol, and here's all these things that I'm going to listen to or read or look at or see. There's billions of dollars that get spent on alcohol advertising, so you're going to see it. Like there will be bombardment the other direction, and so yeah, I would 100% acknowledge like there is a absolute necessity to make it be a visible part of your day to day, because you will walk through life and have counter versions of that. In fact, that's very likely how that has become such a rooted in part of what, whatever the specific thing is, why that's become something that is a part of your life to begin with.
Yeah, definitely.
So we also have a cool thing where we have our dogs barking upstairs, which also helps so much with trying to
keeping
give
the train of thought going.
A real salient point about a very serious topic. And it's like, how do I talk through what sticky notes do I need to block out barking in the background? Which I hope these mics are good enough that the people don't hear them, but I certainly do.
Yeah.
So any other things on change or any of that, like questions that you would have that maybe the answers to might help someone out there?
Oh, I'm definitely I want a physical way to apply it to my life. So I think anything else that you have for people that want to make changes, that's a physical thing they can grab, would be great. But I also think we've covered some things on this one where
Yeah, I mean,
applicable.
I don't even have it on bravely.dev, like the website, but we do have a sobriety tracker.
Yeah.
Like if that's the sort of journey that you want to go on, and talking about ways to just make it readily apparent, like on my phone right now, like I have, like if I open it up and like I have the number of days, 1,098 days. And when you are, I don't look at that every day, but I do see it occasionally. And so like it has like a little widget that you can do, or you can get like notifications. And in the early days, that's like super, super helpful.
Yeah.
And I had that through other means. I didn't have an app at the time. But I'm like, as I talk through some of these things and I internalize what that would have looked like for me, like if I could go through it again, or if I could, if I had to go through it again, what tools would I want at my disposal? And that's one of them that I've made. And, that I know that other people have utilized that. So if that's something that you would like to take advantage of, definitely can check that out. It's Horizon Sobriety Tracker. So it actually has a little inspiration from the same thing that is the name of this podcast.
And we can actually pop it in the description if so people can find it easily.
Yeah, if you want to do that, Katy, for the people, you do that. So Katy has signed herself up for some post-production work.
Yeah.
We'll put that on our to-do app. Bringing it full circle. So one thing I'm a big sucker for quotes.
You are.
I am a big sucker. I'm a sentimentalist at heart for sure. So I'll probably occasionally on this podcast bring a quote, and I'm curious about what you think about this one. So this is Reid Hoffman. He's the LinkedIn founder. I don't really know if he's a problematic person. I didn't do too much reading into it. But he's definitely been involved with a handful of bigger tech things over the years. And I think his quote, even if he's a problematic person, his quote carries a lot of truth. But the quote is, if you're not embarrassed at the first version of your product, you've launched too late. So, if you reflect on stuff that we've built, I certainly feel that way. But, that I think is true for many things in life. If you're not embarrassed by the first thing that you are willing to let other people in on, you're probably letting them in on the thing too late. But what are your thoughts?
Oh gosh, I was not prepared for this one. So I'm going to...
Well, it was in our show notes, Katy. You did not read our show
notes. That one's hard because obviously you don't like to feel embarrassed or that you've made something silly.
Yeah.
But I get where he's coming from, with, and I think again, it just rounds back up to like being okay with failure, showing your ideas to people and making it a reality.
Yeah. I think that because there's some things that I feel no shame feeling like, I don't care if people know that I'm not good at this thing. But
I think that's unique though.
Well, I was going to say, I think the funny part about that is it's almost like it has an inverse relationship with skill. So, my background, like professionally, like the thing that I got really good at is, writing SQL, so database stuff. And fun fact for basically anything like that, especially technical stuff, is no one person knows all of the things. You just get really good at figuring out how to figure out how stuff works.
And do you feel like part of that too is asking questions?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, but like what it came down to, what I mean by this is, and when I'm talking about like an inverse relationship, the more you do that and the more comfortable in your own skill that you become, the more willingness you have to be like, yeah, I have no idea how this works. I know I can figure it out, but like I don't care if you know that I've never done this particular form of regex expression or whatever. But when you are starting off down a journey like that, it's like, oh, I don't want them to know that I've never done this piece of it before. I have no idea. And that's hard. And so, but like everybody starts from the same place. Like none of us are born. Like I have done 1,000 podcast episodes. Welcome to Earth, alien. No, every podcast has started at 0 subscribers and 0 listens. That's just how it works. There's no other path through it. So you have to feel silly. The thing is, how long do you stay unwilling to feel silly? And I think the quicker you can be okay getting that out into the world and feeling silly, the quicker you can become someone who's highly skilled at a task.
It's true.
And because just as we kind of talked about before, and we've had plenty of conversations offline, is we're talking about this podcast. We'll just use it as an example.
I actually think that's a really great example, and I hadn't thought about it.
So we could have planned 4 months, not 4 months, 4 months.
Yeah.
To how can we make this be as good as humanly possible? And when we started, we would still be complete garbage when we started. There's like, and so if that's true, and I genuinely do, I think it's 100% true. If you have not done a thing, especially when it's something creative or something technical, the first pass at it is going to suck. Like you will not be as good as you're going to get to when you start. That's just how it works. There's no shortcut past it. And I even know this from I know it's true for technical things too, because the tale I've seen played out again and again and again with stuff that I've done, with stuff that I know other people have done, is you build a thing and you spend all this time and effort. Let's say it takes you 5 weeks to get something to be like, okay, I feel like this actually now works. When you get to the point where you're like, okay, I get this thing to now, I'm okay with how it works. The thought that's hard to even get out of your head is like, I need to throw this thing away and start completely fresh. It would be 1,000 times better. But if you try to like nail it on that first try, you're just never going to, because you're going to get so much smarter as you build it. And we will get so much better at doing this silly thing when we talk to each other while dogs are barking and kids are stomping around. And I don't know, I'm surprised we haven't heard a blender go off at this point. But the thing is like we will 100% get better at doing this just by doing it. You will get 100% better at running just by running. There's no amount of preparing to run that's going to make it not suck at the start. Like it's just going to suck. You know what makes not running suck? Running. Running makes not running not suck. And to go back to the quote, and the reason why I liked it is, it's not, if you're not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you've launched too late. You are going to be embarrassed by the first version of your product. Even if you spent if we spent 10 years on making this first episode that we made, and you put it out into the world, you're still going to feel like oh man, I could have made this better. Like that's never going to go away.
Yeah.
And so if you are holding on to some hope that it's not going to like suck, whatever it is, and that's true for funny things like I'm just talking about with this podcast, but it's also true of like a journey through sobriety. There's no amount of preparing for it that's going to make it not suck at the start. It's just going to. Like, it's just going to be hard, and you have to figure out how to make your way through it, and you're going to learn a lot of lessons along the way. And yeah, so, but yeah, in this instance, I think if you're seeking to not be embarrassed, you're going to launch later than you should have, whatever the thing is.
And I think, honestly, too, that's kind of why it took us so long to start this. You've been asking me to do this for a really long time.
I mean, off and on for years now.
Yeah. And honestly, and I think we have much more understanding of things now where we are in life, that we have maybe more to talk about. But yeah, I think that quote brings even this whole podcast experience for me, because I am sure in a year when I go back and watch that first episode, I might cringe a little bit, but we would have been a year in of experience, and that's really cool to think about.
Yeah, and the fun part about all this, once you get over that embarrassment, once you get down the road, being able to look back, and honestly, this is one of my true joys in life, and this is why I highly recommend journaling on whatever path you're down, because you may, like we humans, generally speaking, you feel like the way that your brain works now is the way that it's always worked. There's nothing that will jar you out of that, though, more than reading stuff from your past and realizing how far you've really come.
Yeah, that's a really cool thing.
Because I know like things that I wrote down, and if I could have known that this was going to be the outcome, I would have been like, oh my gosh, this is everything that I ever dreamed of. Right. But when I wrote down that was my goal, that was my aspiration, it felt like I was writing down the words of a crazy person. I remember like and I won't go into the specifics, but like there was a person in our young lives as like teenagers who ran a marathon. From that time forward, I've always thought like, man, I want to be the sort of person someday that can run a marathon. And then when I started down my running journey and actually started giving running a proper try, and I signed up for a half marathon, I wanted to do that, but it felt like, honestly, the half marathon felt like crazy, and when I did the half marathon, a full marathon felt like crazy.
Full marathon still feels a little crazy.
Full marathon still feels
we're being real
a little
here.
crazy. It probably never will not feel.
Yeah, and ultra marathoners are my heroes in life, I think.
Yeah, that's another breed of glutton for punishment.
Yes.
But where was I going with this? So I have
no, it's okay. You were talking about somebody that you knew ran a marathon. There you go. Gotcha.
Yeah. Thank you. We're back on track. But yeah, you look back after you've kind of gone down this path, and you're like, wow, I did that. And the reason why that's cool, and the reason why I think you should journal, is because when you go back and you do realize that, and I do think it's really hard to have that realization if you don't have some sort of record of what you were thinking in that moment, that you used to think it wasn't possible, but here you are. When you realize you've made that shift, and then you just become like, well, I can tell you right now, like, I'm not worried about Sydney. I mean, it'll be hard.
Exactly. Yeah.
But like, I know I can do it.
Yeah.
It's no big, like in real, like, honestly, if we didn't even train, like, I know for a fact we would finish that stupid marathon. And to be so nonchalant about something that used to be like, if only one day I could only, to now, like, well, whatever. like it's fine. We'll finish. No big deal. To see that shift in my own mind and my own thinking about something that I thought was so impossible makes me realize that stuff that I feel impossible about today, guess what? If I take the steps down the path, then someday that's going to feel the same way that a marathon felt for me, through my adulthood, and then on the finish line of that half marathon, where I'm like, maybe I should do a full next.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
It makes me definitely be held accountable to writing things down. So
yeah, so you'll take that as another takeaway, everybody. And like, honestly, if I can leave you with one thing, it is write it down and start today. And then if you go down this path and you can figure that out, then you're going to learn a ton of lessons that you can apply to other things in your life. All right, so we are to the housekeeping section of our show.
Okay.
We've made it. We've gotten to the part where I need to remind you that if you haven't already, hit subscribe. This is very important. like I said, we have the kids upstairs and they need to be able to have the live stream to tell them what is happening with their crazy parents. And to do that, we need 1,000 subscribers. So I do need you to do that. Also, if you would like anything from us, that's not what I meant to say, but if you would like to get in contact with us for anything, email us at buildhorizons.com. Katie's going to put that in the show notes too while she's in there editing things, I guess. I'll sign you up for other things. But yeah, if you have questions, topics to cover, or just want to say hi, or tell us that we missed the mark on something or misspoke,
Yes.
by all means,
Please.
hit us up. And with that, Katie, I'm turning it over to you to sign us off yet again.
Okay. Keep building, and we are cheering you on.
You're really committing to that one. We're still doing that, eh?
I guess that's what we're going. Bye.